Dr. Wolfgang Palz, Chairman of the World Council for Renewable Energy in Bonn, Germany. Good afternoon to you, sir, and thank you for this interview.
Good afternoon. It's my pleasure.
You made some interesting points earlier today at the speech here at the third World Renewable Energy Summit in Kuala Lumpur. Now, first question is this. What, in your opinion, would make oil not go beyond $200 a barrel?
Okay, my pleasure to answer that, because there are quite a lot of serious institutions actually who think that the price of oil will go, and relatively fast, to $200 and even more. Remember, just a few months ago, most people were incredible when they heard projections that the oil price would go to just $100, and now we are even sometimes over $100 already, because there is a reason for that. The reason is that there are stresses on the global oil market. There is already the effect, we can notice, that the consumption is increasing, in particularly from the emerging economies, from China, India, and so forth. And easy oil is being consumed very rapidly right now. So one has to go to all already very remote places, to offshore, deep sea offshore, to Alaska, to protected areas, and to convert the Canadian oil shales, oil sand, and in America they are already driving with oil from oil sand. So this shows how dramatic the situation is. Because
which therefore supports the theory that $200 oil looks even more likely, right? But you're saying that
without the intervention of renewable energies. If we didn't have the renewable energies, it would be a dramatic situation. And then some advocates of atomic energy, they come now and say, oh, let us have a revival of the nuclear energy, and this would also make sense, but we have the renewable energies. And they are, at current prices and industrial development, the interest of the investment community, they look extremely good. And this is the reason why I think it will not become dramatic and we will be squeezed by an ever-increasing oil price. But on the contrary, the renewable energies will come in,
prevent it from going that high.
And they will prevent it. And the renewable energies, this is not a fiction. They are already today, they are now mainstream. And we had this conference in Washington earlier this month, so it's really very actual. And with the US government, which is not a big promoter of environment and clean things and so forth, but the US administration invited to this conference. And President Bush gave the keynote speech. You see where we are. Renewable energies is really mainstream.
My second question will be on the Kyoto Protocol and the post-Kyoto Protocol agreements. Are you optimistic that the world will be able to agree on a new format or a new structure to reduce greenhouse gases post-2012?
Yes, I'm pretty sure. So the big meeting in Bali at the end of last year came to an agreement to have something like 2009, a post-Kyoto agreement which would enter into force 2012. Obviously, this will eventually depend also on the outcome of the election in the United States. But in general terms, one can be optimistic that this is going to happen. But at that conference in Bali, there was less than in the past the agreement to push in the frame of the post-Kyoto agreement for the further market deployment of renewable energies, but they turned it in low carbon energies. So to open the way also for nuclear energy, and I think there are many doubts you can have on the issue of nuclear energy, because nuclear energy, it is problematic because of the political implications. Look what all the discussions with Iran and so forth, and in particular all the fuel cycle, which is very complicated for uranium, while the fuel cycle for wind, for solar, for water, there is no debate about that fuel cycle, because this fuel is available and free. It doesn't cost you even anything.
It's interesting that you mentioned nuclear energy, because there is considerable debate about whether it's all that green. Greenpeace, for example, is there's also some position on nuclear energy. And also, we heard you criticize Greenpeace just now for saying that we should not use food crops to make biofuels. Where do you stand on this?
Yes, I think there is a big misunderstanding right now in this debate. Obviously, you should not use foodstuff to make energy, bioenergy in this case, when there are people who have hunger. So the priority goes for providing the necessary food to every people on earth. But there is, in general terms, there is a surplus of food. We had for decades in the European Union, we had a set-aside regime because we had an overproduction of food, and it could not be put into the world market, well, except that billions and billions of euro were thrown after it to squeeze it into the world market. Now, in the world market, the situation has changed a little bit, driven, I think, mostly by speculations on the spot market in Chicago and so forth. And so I think there is enough stuff, also food products, which are available to be converted into energies, because we actually have an oversupply of foodstuff. If there is still hunger in Africa and in certain other areas, this has not to do with the overall availability of food, but this is a distribution problem. So one should not mix up all these things. And in the end, as we just said in the meeting, it is a question to put the price quota right on the market.
So, in other words, we can have a situation where food crops can be used to satisfy hunger as well as to be turned into
using.
Yes.
When using food crops for biofuels, you should make sure that this is not disturbing the food market for people. This is a condition.